Mr. Rashad Johnson, out of Maple Grove. This is the most disturbing arrest that we've had here. He is a backgrounder for ICE, Homeland Security, and federal agencies. So when you're getting your security clearance, this is one of the guys that does your backgrounds, which is kind of scary.
The Bloomington Police Department in Minnesota is at it again.
These people get access, they get a high security clearance, right? Because again, for all the ICE agents, Homeland Security agents, and people getting security clearance, this is one of the people that does the backgrounds. And you come here trying to purchase sex. We locked him up. I don't think he's going to be passing a background check no time soon.
We sure hope so, but you can never be sure with this administration. Now, if you think Chief Booker Hodges here looks familiar, recall this incident from November of 2025.
People at the Department of Homeland Security, I know there are great people there that come to work every single day and do their jobs and do it admirably. Unfortunately, Mr. recently married back here is not one of those people. He works for ICE, and he is an auditor for them, a civilian employee. When he was arrested, he said, "I'm ICE boys." Well, unfortunately for him, we locked him up, we put him in our jail. He got reappropriated to our jail, and my understanding is he helped send people to send federal authorities. I think he's going to see some federal authorities because I think the feds are going to take this case.
Chief Hodges announced the arrest of another ICE-affiliated employee named Alexander Back, who worked as an auditor for the Rogue Department in a separate sting operation under suspicion of soliciting sex from a minor. Like Alexander Back, Rashad Johnson also held a uniquely powerful position with DHS while working as a Department of Defense contractor.
He does the backgrounds, right? So like for anybody who applies for a job that needs to get security clearance, he's one of the people that does that. So he would go out to talk to people and see if they knew you or me or whoever, and then write those background reports. That was his job to do that. So let me be clear. So the federal government, they have a certain agency that does all their backgrounds, right? The DOD, Department of Defense. He works for them. So he does all the ICE backgrounds, HSI backgrounds, FBI. So whenever someone needs a security clearance, he's one of the people that does those backgrounds, but not just specific to ICE, other federal agencies also.
Johnson is facing a gross misdemeanor charge after getting caught in this prostitution sting. And it shows you the fact that the same police department caught yet another ICE-affiliated employee in a sex sting operation just months later. How many cracks there are within these departments, how many corrupt and evil individuals are roaming around in the agencies. And it also shows you that the people tasked with clearing ICE and other federal agencies applicants for hiring, they don't have rigorous standards. They don't have a high standard for getting in, or they're just incompetent at their jobs, right? Those are the only explanations that you could have for something like this.
The ICE Family Detention Center in Dilley, Texas, has held around 3,500 people, more than half of them children. The center was first opened in the Obama administration, shuttered by President Biden in 2021, then reopened under President Trump last year.
This is a 9-year-old girl from Venezuela, Suzette Fernandez, speaking to ProPublica, describing what life is like for her at Dilley, where she's been held for over 50 days.
Honestly, I don't feel good because there's always an officer around, like bothering me. I can't go anywhere, and if I need to go to the bathroom, they won't let me because I have to go with my mom. So it's annoying, and I just have to stay in my room.
My name is Ariana V. I'm 14 years old and I'm from Honduras. I've been detained for 45 days and I have never felt so much fear to go to a place as I feel here. Every time I remind myself that once I go back to Honduras, a lot of dangerous things could happen to my mom and I. My younger siblings haven't been able to see their mom in more than a month. They're very young and you need both of your parents when you're growing up. Since I got to this center, all you will feel is sadness and mostly depression.
These are sort of long-standing companies that have worked in coordination with ICE. They say that they're subject to a number of audits and oversight, that they take health and safety as a top priority. But now there's, because of the huge amount of money that's being injected into ICE and especially into detention, these companies are set to earn more money as they expand. And there's other companies that are interested in sort of getting in the detention game. We've written about tent companies to build tent camps. They're also talking about taking over warehouses and converting those into detention facilities. And so there's a lot of companies that are sort of waiting in the wings to make more money.
You don't even know what empathy means, clearly, if you're defending this and you're advocating for them to continue. But listen, the juxtaposition of literal children being detained. Children are being detained. What have they done? They have done nothing. Them being held in a privately owned for-profit jail is peak American, right? That's a peak American thing when you look at the history of this country. And it really paints a great picture of our society's priorities, where it's all about money and you can exploit people, you can terrorize them, you can do anything you want to them, and you won't be held accountable. Again, capitalism is destroying so many parts of our society, except for the rich, the wealthy, the elite. They're fine. Because again, they're in a different class.
This facility opened up during the Obama administration and families were housed there, but they were mainly families who were coming across the border and were there supposedly for a short period of time and hoping to be released into the United States or to come here for the first time. But what's happening now is many of the children that I spoke to are actually kids who've been living in the United States for years, and their families were picked up by ICE arrests in the interior, some of them at regular check-ins. And so a lot of the kids that I talked to had really, in some cases, established U.S. lives. Some of them spoke perfect English. Some of them were in the middle of their high school years when they were detained. But some of the more vivid descriptions about the conditions really came from their mothers, who I spoke to over the phone or who emailed me. And they would talk to me about food that they could see or they believed was contaminated, and that it was giving their children sickness. And the administration says that these conditions are not what they're described as, but this is from the firsthand experience of the detainees inside. One thing that we did find is that there were over 300 kids who had been there longer than the average of 20 days, which is what under a long-standing legal settlement is supposed to be the standard of how long kids should be detained for and no longer.
None of this is doing anything to legitimately improve the country or people's lives. It's doing infinitely more harm than good, regardless of whether they voted for Trump or support his white nativist immigration policies or not. Like, we're not improving as a society, we're not improving as a country because of these things. We're not. We're going backwards. We're hurting so many Americans. We're hurting so many individuals who have come here, whether they come here legally or illegally. So, yeah, stop it. Stop it, people. For LHQ, I'm Chris Williams, and we'll see you next time.